Hi everyone, it's Ridley here, and this is, I think, the second video that I'm making, and I think in the first video I called this like a podcast, and I would say this is more like a video diary now because this is via video, but yeah, I'm just kind of trying to explore my creative side a little bit more and get on camera and get comfortable speaking on camera and kind of putting the thoughts in my brain out into the world. Writing and speaking really helped me kind of get out of that mess and just kind of let it out. So this is kind of a way for me to share, but it's also a way for me to slowly heal what is going on in this body. So yeah, I think it'd be really fun if I kind of just came on here and talked about different topics every day just based on what's going on in my mind. But really there's like 30 things I could talk about within one day, and I think that's exactly why I need to be speaking more often, just to kind of like really get in flow state is what the kids call it, and just like let it out. So this is what I'm doing to do that. Today I think it'd be really fun to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, which is expression. And alongside expression is inner child and joy. So those three things I would say. And like soul gifts and why certain things make you joyful. I have realized many things about this topic through obviously expression, which is kind of what I'm doing here. I've also learned a lot about why people have, certain gifts and certain things that they love to do. So I thought it'd be really cool to share that today. So one of the major things that I've kind of learned from being in more negative emotions, which I'm sure lots of people have also experienced the same thing, especially people that are like younger. I'm 23, so by younger I mean like Gen Z kids. I think we really emphasize doing things just for the fuck of it, like doing things just for fun. We don't need to always try to make things something, we just like to do shit just because we like to do shit, and I really love that for us. But one thing that I've learned kind of from going through maybe darker times, more negative eras of my life, is that the opposite of feeling depression, feeling sadness, feeling any type of painful feeling, I have really learned that the opposite of that is expression. And the words even sound similar, and so it makes a lot of sense that that has kind of correlated with each other. But in my personal opinion, I have noticed in times where I just haven't felt well for a long time, and things have just felt off, and you're just battling your mental health and trying to get through whatever situation you're facing, whatever mental health looks like for you. I have really noticed that by expressing, you kind of quiet the depression a little bit. It kind of helps you take care of sadness, and it helps you take care of like lonely feelings you're having, because through expression you're able to kind of be really creative, and you're able to just let yourself live and let yourself just make something without the daunting worry about something going wrong. Because how can something go wrong when you're just creating, right? There's no rule book to creating, and there's no rule book to expressing. You can kind of just pretty much just do it, there's really no way to do it that is deemed correct and incorrect. And when that pressure isn't there anymore, that's where like your natural self, your highest self, you want to say, your most peaceful self, your most calm self can come out, even if it's for a minute or 5 minutes or an hour or a day or a week. It kind of lets you kind of just exist. And when you just exist, pretty much what happens is your body and your soul and your mind kind of come to the present moment. You enter flow state. And when you're in the present moment, you can no longer be in the past, which is pretty much what depression is. And you can no longer be in the future, which is pretty much what anxiety is. You have to be here to focus on the thing that you are creating. And I have kind of learned that Expression is a huge part of my life, and it should be, I think, a huge part of everybody's lives. I think it's really, really amazing how expression and joy are pretty much two facets of life that I think you really can't live without almost. And if you do for too long of a time, your body will literally like give you signals that it's not happy and things need to change. And most of the time, I think that really looks like mental health issues for us, and it definitely does look like that for me. So um, I do think that we are just expressive beings. We have a lot of emotions, we have joy. Think about birth itself. Like, you being born literally is creation. Your mother had a womb and she literally created you from nothing. Like, that is creation. You existing is creation. I think it's just so funny that life itself, creating life itself, is supposed to be pleasurable, and it's supposed to be creation. And I guess like those two themes, if they're prevalent from before you're even conceived and even obviously created in your mother's womb, it's crazy that we think that that's not such supposed to be such an important part of the rest of your life and in pockets of your life. So I have also in the past kind of struggled with, okay, so what do I like to do, right? Like, okay, I know now that expression is the opposite of depression, and I know I need to just create something, right? But what do I make? And I'm very cerebral, so I like, someone will tell me to like just be present or just forget about it. And it's like, how do I forget about it? So I pretty much make thoughts about my thoughts, right? And so it makes it very hard for me to just be in the moment and create and express. So yeah, that's a great question, is how do I start expressing? Like, how do I start creating? How do I start living in my joy? And that is where your kind of inner child um, healing kind of comes in. Like, you have to kind of start to get curious, I would say, and get curious about what is it that you like to do when you were a kid. And sometimes, and there's no judgment, no self-judgment, no judgment at all in this. Sometimes we get so much older and we lose touch with that version of ourselves. We lose touch with like the true essence of like what our joy is, right? And the number one way I think to kind of get back to that is to start really getting curious without judgment and asking yourself, like, what is it that I really like to do? And for me, this kind of sometimes brings up like negative emotions almost, because it's like, wait, why haven't I been doing that like my whole life? Why have I not been doing those things? But if you sit with it long enough, you really start to realize there's very specific things that you like to do as a child, and there's also a reason why you like to do those things when you were of a younger age. And if you can kind of start to tap into yourself and ask yourself more of these questions every day, and also explore, like if you have an idea about something you like to do when you were a kid, like go do it, like go do it today, you know, make 5-10 minutes, make an hour to just go do it and kind of see what did I like about that, and how did that make me feel, you know? And from there, I can almost guarantee you that like the floodgates will open, like you've opened the can of worms, and you will try to find these little joyful things that you like to do every day. But if you think back to when you were a kid, when we're children, we're in our earliest ages, I would say, which is different for everybody, because everybody experiences trauma and difficulties, and like the world hardens everyone at a different age, so it just depends for you. But when you're a child, you have like this free spirit about you. I think anyone who's interacted with children, who has kids, nieces, and nephews, will tell you children will teach you how to slow down almost. They will kind of force you to be present again, because you have to live your life through their lens. And if you do, even for 10 minutes, you realize that their joy and their expression, kids are quite literally here to play. That's like their number one duty when they're a child, is just to play. And you realize how much fun they have in every little thing that they choose to do. And that's because their view of the world is untainted. You know, their view of the world is still beautiful and bright, and they find joy in every little thing. And that's actually what makes them so excited to get up in the morning and not want to take naps and not go to bed, is because they have those pockets of joy in their day. And with children, I really do feel like if you can tap more into your inner child, you really do start to realize there's specific things that you liked, and there's a reason that you liked them. And that's because that is who you are. That's the soul that you came here to be. um, all your life until the day you die. That's going to be things that you enjoy. Of course, it can morph and evolve, but the core of who you are will always be who you are from when you were born. And I'm a firm believer in that. So for me personally, this looked like really rediscovering that I like to write a lot. And I like to speak, which is something, this is kind of me expressing my inner child, just making these videos. But everyone has their own specific set of things that really brings them a lot of joy. And so for me, that was reading, and for me, that was writing. And so I have a journal on deck at all times. I try to write uh, things when they come to my mind on my phone. If you're friends with me in real life, I'm pretty sure you know that I can yap my ear off for probably way too long. But meaningful conversations for me are very healing to me. And I think it's so funny because I can, and this is kind of my point, I can almost pinpoint very specific stories that my parents and my family and my friends have told me from when I was a little kid. Like, oh yeah, like you definitely love to do blank, blank, blank. And this, even if it's not the same, there's very similar themes that relate to who I was when I was a kid. And my mom always tells me this story that when I was younger, like really young, um, that when I was in school, and I think she said I was like 2 years old or something, she was like, you would sometimes just like be like talking to yourself. Like you would just be talking and the teacher would be like, she just keeps talking. And even like in early like school, even up to like middle school, like I wanted to just talk to my friends in class. Like I just wanted to like yap away in my class. I'm sure a lot of you were like that as well. Like something was always funny, right? Like I needed to say something at all times. Um, and it's so funny because I'm literally a realtor. Like I pretty much get paid to talk, pretty much. The more conversations you have, the better realtor you are. And most of a transaction is pretty much just communicating. Back to my point that a lot of who you are now really stems from what you liked when you were a child. And look at me go, I'm literally making 15-minute videos about anything that I want to talk about. Um, and same with writing. Like I can remember maybe even times in high school when we had like a specific writing assignment and like why did it excite me, you know? Like people hated writing, but for me I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like the easiest part of my day. But now if you take me to math class, it's a different story. Like I'm not gonna really click there, right? But like I said, everyone has their specific things that they really love to do. So just know that whatever you enjoy like has lived inside of you probably for longer than you know. And if anything, that should make you feel really comforted that you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. You don't need to really second guess things that you enjoy. Like that's my number one point here is don't second guess your joy, because that is just who you are, and that's who you're supposed to be. And I also think a lot of things that you liked as a kid are very they're very intentional in the sense that they can kind of lead you to the life that you want to live. I don't have like a solid proof story for this, but I have experienced moments in my life where I'm just like, oh my God, that's exactly what I want to do. Like, I didn't realize that I wanted to do that right now. Because the world conditions you as you get older to go to school and do these very specific things that you kind of have to do. But it's like, what do you actually want to do, you know? In order to do that, you really have to spend time by yourself. You have to be really courageous and say no to people and say no to things that you know just don't feel right to you, even if it's lonely. And if you can sit in that loneliness just long enough, and kind of get through the depression and the anxiety and all the things that I mentioned earlier, you will discover such a beautiful, deeper part of yourself. And, you know, along with that comes that joy that I'm talking about, that inner child connection that you're going to be able to have. But yeah, I'm sure there's many things that you guys also have that you love to do when you were a kid that, like I said, maybe aren't exactly the same, but they're in a similar theme. They're in a similar field that really unlock like that version of you that just wants to play, right? Like if you can make your work and your creativity and things you like to do during your day like kind of just feel like play for you, like how can good things not stem from that? Because you're literally being who you were made to be when you came here. And that's kind of my last point is I am a true believer that all souls come here very intentional. Everything is intentional, from the way you look to the way, you know, the family you were born into, to the environment you live in, and to the things that make you happy, to the things that make you joyful, the things you're good at, your gifts. Every little thing is intentional, because more likely than not, even if it doesn't manifest just yet, most of those things that make you happy are going to impact the world in a positive way. Whether it's me having a conversation with a friend and, you know, something positive coming out of that and them feeling happy from something I said, or vice versa. And for you, that might look like, hey, I like loved playing the sport, and now you get to play the sport, and alongside playing with the sport, you're bringing so many people joy, and you maybe have a public platform where you can impact a lot of people's lives. Like, that's just one example of how your gifts can really impact the world, not only on a small level, but like on a really, really huge mass level. And really, you're healing the world when you're healing one person at a time. And yeah, so it might look like many, many, many different things. Um, Most of the people you know that are celebrities or famous, like, you know, they're really just living out their soul gifts. That is all they're doing. People who are living their dream life. Maybe even you have a dream life. Like, oh, I really want to travel and I really want to do this. Like, there is a real, true intention and purpose why you feel so joyful thinking about certain parts of your life manifesting the way they're supposed to manifest. Every little thing is intentional, is pretty much my point, before I just keep rambling on and on. If you find yourself stuck, because I have found myself kind of stuck on how to go about finding those things, I just want you to know that the universe, and this is almost a message to myself as well, because I still need to hear it today, is the universe will find a way for you to express and be joyful in micro moments if you pay attention to the signs. If you pay attention to little moments that bring you joy and you act on them when you feel like doing something, you don't put it off until tomorrow. If God, the universe, gave you that calling today, do not wait until tomorrow. You know, do it today, because by tomorrow, maybe you could have had another idea already. Something that I'm working on is, as soon as I have an idea, like, write it down or do it in this very moment. Don't wait until tomorrow. I recently discovered that, well, I didn't recently discover, but I've always loved to dance and sing, like, since I was a kid. By no means am I a good dancer or a good singer at all. Like, but I have tons of pictures and memories in my, you know, my photos. I have so many. Even like friends that I've had from elementary school, like, I was always trying to like do the talent show just for fun. I was like, let's dance in front of the whole school. Like, let's do that. That sounds fun to me. Let's do a play, you know? Those are the things that I just enjoy doing. And like I said, when you were a kid, I wasn't worried about what people had to say about me when I was 5, right? Like, I was like, I like this song. Like, we're gonna dance to the song. That's all it was. And fast forward to like when I'm a little bit older, I still love dancing. Like, I can dance in my room for like hours at a time. Like, it's low key, it's not embarrassing, but like, I really could do it for hours at a time. I don't even need to go out to dance, because it brings me so much joy that I can do it by myself and have fun. But going back to my point, that there will be really random specific signs that will kind of just nudge you in the direction of like, oh my God, like, yes, I totally could and should do that. For me, I can't sing, right? Like, I really don't know how to sing. Complete transparency. Like, y'all do not want to hear me sing, okay? But like a couple months ago, I was just like, for some reason, I was singing in the car and I was like, why am I actually like enjoying this? Like, for some reason, it was more fun than I expected it to be. And because I was paying attention to that feeling and paying attention to myself, I just like started singing more often, just for fun, right? I was in the shower and I was like, why for so many years, like, I wasn't really singing in the shower that much. I was kind of just living life, doing what I had to do. But I started micro moments in my day, right? It's not a big deal. I kind of just was like, music turned on and I felt the urge to sing, and I followed the urges, right? Really small moments, but I followed the urges to do what I felt like doing. And from that, I just noticed myself singing more, and I was having a great time doing it wherever I felt like kind of just listening to music and getting in flow state, singing, dancing, doing things that I liked to do when I was a kid, right? And I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I really now do remember, and the memory did not come to my mind at all until I started just taking the action and singing when I felt like singing. Until I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I actually do remember that when I was a kid, I really did like to sing in my room, like just for fun. You know, I wasn't trying to make anything of it, but anytime there was a song on, I kind of just felt like doing it. But for some reason, from the ages of I don't know to like now, I just stopped doing it for some reason. And there's a multitude of reasons why you kind of stop doing the things that you love. And if you can find it in your heart to like forgive yourself and just say, well, that's just kind of how life is. Life changes, you grow, and you rediscover things about yourself that you liked. Um, and now I get to kind of just like do those things when I'm bored. And the best part is, and this goes back to my point, once again, I'm all over the place, but I was at like my office's work party. We had like a Christmas party, and everyone was like getting things, you know, like it was a raffle or whatever. And I was like, oh, there's AirPods. Like, I kind of really want AirPods. That'd be cool. And then someone took the AirPods, right? And then they called my name up. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I want something. Like, that's so fun. I go up, and the only thing that like was like standing out to me was like there was this karaoke machine, right? There was this karaoke machine. And I was like, wait, that'd be kind of fun. Was not thinking about all the things that I like to do when I was a child. This epiphany hadn't really hit me at the time, okay? But I was like, oh, that'd be really fun. Like, there's a mic and everything. Like, that's cool. So I took that. And then when I got home, and a couple days later, I kind of started having more realizations, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was such a sign from the universe for me to like really keep on chasing things that I like to do as a kid. Me personally, felt like a sign to me. And the funniest part is now I not only just sing in the shower and sing in the car, but I will make time in my week, like at least an hour in my week, where I will turn that little speaker on and just put on my favorite songs and just sing. And I'm not worried about if I'm singing good or, you know what I'm saying, if this has a purpose or who's listening to me. I'm not paying attention to those things. I'm purely just doing it because it brings me joy. And it has brought me deeper into the present moment. And overall, it's such a beautiful thing that every time you listen to those urges, you're getting closer and closer and closer to a life that's more you. Um, and I think that overall it's just been really beautiful, and it's never ending. You can keep doing that forever, and you can keep chasing your joy forever and ever and ever, and you can keep finding it in new things. And I think that's the beauty of life. You're kind of returning home to your younger self, but you're also experiencing new chapters of your life. You're getting older, you're meeting new people, you're doing new things. And so, like, it's just like a never ending party. Like, that's kind of what life feels like when you let it be that way. Anyway, that is what's been on my mind. I'm very excited to keep discovering little things that I like to do when I was younger. And I hope that you all are also getting curious about what is it that I enjoyed doing when I was a kid? And what is it that makes me happy right now? And how can I, in micro doses at least, figure out a way to kind of incorporate creation into my life, and expression into my life? Because I can say from my personal experience, it has really helped me battle loneliness. It's helped me battle sadness. It's helped me battle confusion, anxiety. Get out there and create something. See y'all on the next one.